And we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live on the worldwide Coalition Radio Network at coalitionradionetwork.com, facebook.com/the Coalition Radio, on the mighty Twitter at coalition_radio, and of course, the original mothership, coalitionradio.us, where there is an astonishing array of interviews going back no less than 8 years, featuring politicians, great ones, the deranged, and somewhere in between. The issues, the challenges, all of that facing everyday Rhode Islanders as well as Americans at large. We begin tonight an inaugural attempt at working with small businesses across Rhode Island. Folks, if you are a small business in Rhode Island, particularly a retail environment, or you've got a product that you manufacture, feel free to reach out to me, Pat Ford, your host, at facebook.com/Coalition Radio, or P. Ford at coalitionradio.us. Just find me. I seem to be everywhere. Yikes. But what we want to do is, in the spirit of my personal philosophy, is take Rhode Islanders' dependence away from government, if you will, and let's look to each other to support each other in our community, our volunteer activities, for our youth, for our older folks. Let's reach out to people, fellow Rhode Islanders, to support us in our business efforts. We need to depend upon ourselves. Outside forces, sadly, have failed us. Now, the purpose is not to get political, but just to sort of lay the groundwork of the effort here. So what we will do on a weekly basis, if folks reach out to us, we will give them an opportunity to come on board, spend a half hour or 40 minutes with us, turn it to literally an infomercial on their business. And we'll broadcast and rebroadcast these at will. There's no charge to do this. We always ask folks if they want to support our broadcasting efforts. There's a variety of ways to do it right on coalitionradionetwork.com. Like any other independent media source, we rely on, well, the good graces of a lot of folks to somehow make this work. But that's not the point here. The point here is, in these difficult times, to raise up local businesses, to show you the value, the whether it be food or a product or a service, and say, you know, let's step away from the big box stores, the national chain restaurants. In tonight's case, you know, we've got an astonishing culinary history here in this state. You know, chains come here to die, unless you're some sleazy burger joint. Other than that, with the sheer volume of great local cooking right here in Rhode Island at reasonable prices, run by literally our neighbors and friends, why would we ever? Why? I'll bring this a quick version of the story up. Once, I remember years ago, the Spaghetti Warehouse, the late unlamented Spaghetti Warehouse, decided to open up a location right over by where, you know, and let's be a real Rhode Island here, where the Journal used to be, kind of across the street, down the street from the hospital, right above Burger King and Coca-Cola. I don't need no street names. We all know where that was. And it had these big restaurants, Spaghetti Warehouse. And I said to myself, what in the name of God, in the heart of Italian cooking, both, you know, we have great restaurants with what's commonly referred to as red and white tablecloth Italian cooking, you know, chicken parm, eggplant parm, pasta, enormous meatballs, things like that. We got that. We got that covered. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we've got places like Al Forno's, which, or a variety of the coal-fired pizza restaurant. I mean, we've got every flavor on serious Italian cooking happening within a 5 square mile radius of Providence. So why would a national joint come here? Well, I don't know how long they lasted. It wasn't terribly long before they moved on into wherever it is that national restaurant chains go to die, but die they did.
That's valid.
So let's get down to business here. Let's talk to local Rhode Islanders who just have great local cooking right in the heart of our communities. And no one epitomizes that better than my friend, Mike Fleury. He has recently purchased a venerated institution within Cranston. And, of course, we're talking about Tomaselli's Restaurant and Catering. They're at 693 Oakland Lawn Avenue in Cranston, right across the street from Nick Mattiello's former campaign headquarters. Mike, welcome to the Coalition. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat, for inviting me today.
It's let's talk about a little bit about yourself. What's intriguing, restaurant owners have become sort of rock stars, if you will, in the food culture in America today. And we celebrate their experiences and their skills. And it's fascinating because that's still a relatively recent development of the last 15 or 20 years. When we first met, you had just made the decision to purchase Tomaselli's from a great local family.
Yep.
And I didn't know you, and I didn't know much about your background. So you probably I gave you the look that you've seen so many times. At the height of at the international pandemic, you went out and bought a restaurant. Holy shnikes.
I did, yeah.
You've got stones. All right. So tell us a little bit about your background and, how you came to this point where you were in a position to make that great step of owning your own business.
Well, I started working in the restaurant industry when I was 13. South Street Cafe in Providence was my first job. My mom kind of landed me the job. Worked there for a few years. Ended up at Johnson & Wales. Through Johnson & Wales, I worked for the Hyatt. I worked for a couple other companies. Took my talents around to different places. My first big culinary spot was I took over as a chef at Pinewood Pub and brought in you're talking about venerated Italian cooking. Billy Calisi was kind of my mentor. I brought him in. He used to run Casa Cristina's on Federal Hill. So he taught me a lot about it and taught me really how to be a chef, which was big. From there, I bounced around to a few different places before taking my big step up where I took over as the executive chef of George's of Galilee back in April of 2018. I was there for a little over a year. And once I did that, I kind of knew the sky was the limit. Once I was, at the pinnacle of one of the top 3 or 4 viewed restaurants in the state, I knew I could kind of take my talents wherever I wanted and grow how I wanted to. From there, I worked in Bristol at Thames Waterside, helped turn around that restaurant. They were a great bar, but with food that wasn't very pleasurable. People wouldn't really want to eat there. They'd go there, drink, and leave and go somewhere else. I left there. They, doubled their food sales. Then I took on a chance to open up somebody else's restaurant right before the pandemic started, right through the pandemic, PV Bistro in East Greenwich. So I kind of seen the beginning of this pandemic, trying to take over and open a restaurant, and now here in the middle, and as we're spiking up, taking on it all on my own. So I've kind of seen it on both ends of it during this pandemic.
Now, if reality TV has performed one service, in addition to making us as a culture and as a nation stupider, they have done a phenomenal job with these bar rescue shows, however contrived or real they may or may not be. That's almost irrelevant. But educating the public in the incredible array of challenges in running a restaurant. Now, I don't think anyone who's ever watched more than one of those shows will ever casually wake up one morning and say, hey, I like to cook for my family. Let's open up a restaurant. Talk about the skill sets you need to open up a restaurant that's got any measurable chance of success in clearly one of the most difficult, challenging environments this country has ever seen.
I think there's 3 big things you have to do. You have to be fearless. You have to know that you're going to walk in and take a hit for a little while. You're not going to be taking home any big paychecks for a while. 2 is you got to have people skills. It is a customer service driven job. So yes, you can be the greatest cook in the world, but if you can't put a smile on and put a smile on someone else's face, you're not going to get very far, especially in the ownership role. You can be a great chef, but you're never going to be a great owner. And 3 is you have to have a wide array of skills. You don't have to be an expert at anything, but you have to be pretty good at a lot of things. I think those are 3 huge things. And I think one extra thing I have for myself is I believe in working with people and building people up. To me, if I have a bunch of good people working for me, I could keep them around because I know how to treat them. I'm not one of these crazy people who treats their staff like crap and pushes them out. So I think, and that creates a great word of mouth. I don't have to pay any extra for advertising for them to tell all their friends and family, hey, come on down here. I work here and I'm happy to be here. That's a lot less on my marketing budget, even if it's a little more I'm paying in a payroll budget.
how about some of the technical skills? You've got, for example, talk about the food safe certification.
So the food safe certification is a fun project to go through. You have to go through a 1-day class, and every few years you have to redo it. Problem is, every year or two, the National Restaurant Association that does serve safe changes all what the requirements are, all of what the safe things are. So what you knew 4 years ago when you took the last test is nowhere near what it is today. So you almost have to be constantly learning, which, when you're in the business of actually running it, it's hard to be now sitting down every day reading a book. And then add in the fact is, not only do you have to go get that certification, now you have to go to the government, you have to mail them your certification, you have to fill out other forms and pay even more out just to get that, because without that license, you can't get the other licenses the state require.
Wow. So you've got the licensing process, you've got the certification process, then, of course, you've got food chemistry, keeping food safe, storing food safely, preparing food safely. Talk to me about some of the challenges there and just how difficult that can be on a given day. How expensive?
Well, expensive in the sense of the refrigeration, just fixing it's no cheap cost. You're paying skilled labor to come in and fix it. You have to kind of do your own to best maintain it. And then another big part of it is you have to have competent people that are going to store and serve the food safely, because that's the worst thing that could ever happen. I could do everything right along the way, make the best recipe, market it correctly, hire good people. But if somebody slips up on that one little thing and you get somebody sick, all that goes to naught, because you've now tarnished your reputation because you didn't follow through on that major step of keeping the people safe. You're keeping your customers happy and safe is the most important thing you can do in this business. I mean, as they say, the customer is always right, but it's also, the customer is, what's paying your bills and paying everyone else's bills.
Right. So, and let's be really blunt, because it's happened here in Rhode Island. It wasn't that long ago. You can kill people. You can make people grievously ill if your food preparation, your food storage isn't up to snuff. One of the scenes you'll see in that whole bar rescue show is they always get it's kind of a highlight of the early part of the show. They check the food temperature. How often do you have to check food temperatures in storage, foods that have been pre-prepared, and how closely do you have to monitor those temperatures?
So, I mean, by state law, it's twice a day. I personally do it about 3 to 4 times a day. Just this way, if something's going wrong, I have a chance to fix it before everything has to go bad on it. So it's huge, though, because that's honestly, if you look at some of the studies that the USDA has put out, time and temperature abuse is the leading cause of foodborne illness. So, I mean, if you're not paying attention to it, you're setting yourself up for the issue. And it's better to be proactive than reactive, especially when it comes to safety.
Right. So, for example, meat products, and again, I'm speaking completely from the perspective of someone who's an accomplished restaurant goer. I'm really good at going out to eat. I'm highly skilled, Olympic quality going out to eater. So, something like meat products, what temperature do you have to maintain it? And as a result, what investment in equipment do you have to make in order to maintain that?
So, I mean, you want to safely keep it between 34 and like 38, 39 degrees. I like to try to keep it between 34 and 38. So if it breaks and I can catch it within an hour, it's not going to cross over to the danger zone of 41 degrees. Once it gets to 41 degrees, bacteria will start to grow, and you're now setting up the time to potentially make the food hazardous to people. The big thing is with this, you need refrigeration. You need walk-in coolers. You need coolers on the line. You need basically enough storage for everything you have in house, and roughly about 10 to 15% more, just in case you have a busy time, you're having more coming in.
And what are some of, you hear about this, particularly cruise ships seem to have a huge problem with this, and maybe just the sheer scale of what they're doing and the fact that they're buying food from literally everywhere. In fact, during the great restaurant scares that occurred with a certain giant burrito chain, a chain that redefined how burritos are done, ironically, that which was their marketing strength, their desire to produce only the freshest foods from a variety of sources, as they reach scale, the difficulty in doing so actually perversely created a number of their problems, didn't it?
It did. It did. It was a bunch of problems. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, obviously, but they had a lot of problems they've had. I mean, they've faced some major fines from different states for what they did. But when you come to the fact is that when you want to buy everything local and source it local, it's great at like a restaurant like here or, some of these other small restaurants around here. But when you're trying to do it on a national scale, you're talking about volume that no local farmer is going to be able to handle. You're going to have to buy it from everywhere, and you're running the risk of getting contaminated food. The fact is every year we're seeing romaine recalls, we're seeing iceberg lettuce recalls, we're seeing tomato recalls. In fact, actually recently we just had an onion recall, just because the conditions of what's going on in the fields. The fact is these mass growers are kind of just doing whatever they can to save every little penny they can and working as hard as they can to give you the lowest quality food at the lowest price and trying to push the local farmers who are going to give you the highest quality food at a reasonable price out of business.
Right. And if you're asking people, particularly in certain parts of the country, to work in inhumane conditions where, it's going to gross people out, but where basic sanitary conditions, because of the lack of certain facilities in a harvesting season, isn't it almost predictable that this is going to happen?
The USDA has already come out. I remember reading a study where they know it's going to happen. They have investigators out there, but they know it's happening. There's no other option. The fact is you're putting on these huge quotas to these people and then saying you can't leave the fields to go use the restroom. They have to do it somewhere. And when you think about where E. coli comes from, you know what they're doing in the fields.
Yikes, but true. So
it is, and the fact is even with something like an E. coli, even if you are washing your fruit and vegetables when you get home, that's not washing off E. coli.
Yeah, it sometimes it simply isn't. Rinsing something off will not rinse away. Calgon, take me away, right? So talk about something like a walk-in cooler. Now, you're pretty good at shopping. We've gotten to know each other over the last few months. Full disclosure, Mike's a friend of mine. Yep. I'm proud to have him as a friend. And a safe operating, soon to be inspected, by the way, walk-in cooler. What kind of, as the late Vincent A. Buddy Cianci would say, what kind of scuttle are we talking about for a walk-in cooler?
A brand new one is probably about $15,000, $20,000 for a good one. Mm-hmm. Condenser is a few $1,000s, and every couple of years you're gonna have to replace it. It's just the nature of the beast. So when it came time to buy the restaurant, I set up a special account just for maintenance and kind of putting aside a little bit of money every month just to keep it up, because I know something's gonna happen one of these days. You can't get mad. It's just what you do. I mean, I've worked in enough places. I've seen enough walk-ins be replaced and freezers be replaced that I can't do anything about it. So a lot of times it's about proper maintaining it. And for me, it's training my staff how to properly maintain it. Mm-hmm. That's a big key.
Right. And cleanliness and cleaning is an important part of that, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because if you're not cleaning it, it's not going to be properly maintained. And also, if you're not cleaning it and you get those nice little inspections, they're not very friendly to those type of things. There's certain things that the Department of Health is going to walk past and not notice. It's sad truth, but they are, the list of things that they're looking at on a visit is insane. The fact is that they're looking for the big, huge things. The little things are probably going to fall by the wayside unless somebody brings it up to them.
Right.
So keeping the stuff clean is going to keep everything going better for you. I mean, once you have it clean, you can properly maintain it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking you have to sell. Now we're going to later in the half hour or so we're going to get into the fun part, which is the food, the gravy, the whole 9 yards. But I'm thinking you got to sell a lot of sandwiches to cover a $10,000 to $15,000, and that's just one piece of equipment, isn't it? That's just
one of the coolers. I mean, the other ones are not as much, but yeah. You gotta be rolling. You gotta be not only selling a bunch, you gotta be doing it at a point where you're putting some money into the bank with it. You can't be selling a sandwich that costs $7 for $7. The lights aren't gonna stay on.
Right, and you purchased a very well run facility, but and a very clean. You purchased a restaurant that was really at the top of the heap. I mean, it was very, very well regarded. Family that owned it, family that ran it locally, great recipes. But every time a new owner comes along, it's an opportunity, if you will, for the folks at your state of Rhode Island Department of Health and a variety of local officials to revisit the restaurant, wasn't it? You took this great local restaurant, and you had after the purchase, you still had to invest money, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I had to put in a hand sink just due to COVID. Basically, I was told that they needed one more hand sink to meet what they wanted for COVID reasons. So I spent about $400 putting a hand sink in that never was needed before. And then being told, oh, these floors in the basement in time will need to get replaced. And, I of course, I'm going to fight that one because there are floors in the basement that are not damaged and not dirty. They're just, the building's about 40 years old, right, and they've been replaced at least once. You can tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you. So, I kind of dive into all this. I won't call it minutia because at the kind of money we're talking about and the kind of exposure that a restaurant has in terms of sanitation and food safety is certainly not worthy of that term. But the morass of just stuff that you're responsible for in society today, and listen, at a certain level, yes, I'm well known to be a libertarian, not a big fan of government, to say the least. But at the same token, American restaurants are largely safe. In some municipalities, pay more attention than others. But in the city of Cranston, there was, and I don't want to blame Cranston for this, but there was a tragedy a few years ago. Where I believe it wasn't a Bad Zeppelin's cream, I think it was. Where somebody died. They didn't just get riotously ill.
I think it was a few people who died, I believe.
Right, and so, and this wasn't just someone getting, really sick. I will spare you the sound effects that usually come in the bad frat movie or something where somebody's ingested something funky. People died, and that's where the responsibility is. But let's talk about the fun stuff, if you will. You inherited some recipes. You've certainly got your own. Talk to us about the quality of the food and the ingredients that you put together. Where are some of your sources? Where do you get? How about the gravy? Who makes the gravy? Where do you source a lot of the foodstuffs that you've got at Tomaselli's in Cranston?
So it's a family recipe from Tomaselli's. That's where the pizza and the pasta sauce is coming from. Mm-hmm. So we make pizza sauce daily, pasta sauce every couple of days. Our dough and our bread is coming locally from Calvito's Bakery. Ray at Calvito's has been great. Actually, been kind of a little bit of a mentor along the way with this. I'm in touch with him at least 3 or 4 times a week, just discussing, throwing out ideas. So that's been really great with him there. We're using rocks for all of our produce. I try to buy everything local. My goal is in 2021, after we're done with, what we have going on in the world, I want to start working with local farmers for different produce and working, just to come up with great ideas in the summer and the fall for great local produce and great pizzas and sandwiches based off of it. It's something I've tried to do before in different places, and I always feel like when people know it's coming for something very local, they love it. The fact is that people know that we're getting our pizza dough and our bread from Calvito's. It brings a special pride to some of the people in Cranston because they've grown up coming here and they've grown up going to Calvito's for all different pastries. So it's kind of, where we can be working together, and it's a great team.
Where did now? We had a couple of us come over election night. It was fewer than 10. We observed all the rules, but
Still had more than Mattiel had in his building.
Sorry. Oops. Yeah. Awkward. But what I had a couple of I had some of your sausage pizza. Where do you get your meat products from? It was your pizza. I mean, I'm from Jersey, first of all, and
our actual our sausage comes from Jersey. It's sourced from Jersey. We source it from Metro Lobster and Seafood. That's who brings us our sausage. We buy any seafood we get from them. They're right down about 5 minutes away in Warwick. Our cheese is probably the furthest thing we have from around here. We get it from Grande Cheese, one of the biggest cheese companies in the world. Pure Italian cheese. So it kind of brings that great Italian flavor that you kind of need. Sometimes you need it to get it from out there because they've been doing it forever. They have the perfect recipes for it. All of our vendors are based either in Rhode Island or Connecticut. So we don't have anything, we're not ordering stuff from California. Our produce, like I said, even though it's coming from rocks and they carry stuff all over, what I've talked to them about was keeping it local. So nothing is coming further than Pennsylvania. So I'm trying to keep it as local. So it's a day trip up. It's not coming across the train for 3 days, going through God knows what kind of temperature abuse.
Right. And listen, let me tell you, folks, it certainly reflects in the taste. I was about to mention, I'm from Jersey as well. I grew up about 15 miles from the wrong side of the Holland Tunnel. But I will tell you that pizza is an art form in New Jersey. And let's just say there's ancient cultures that do a lot of things really well, but really shouldn't do pizza. That's me, not the opinion of our guest. I'm a standard. When you flip the pizza over to half a slice, to a slice in half, part of it drips over, thin but not achingly thin, not crunchy pizza, a New York slice, and that's what you seem to have nailed because it's got
some thickness to it, but it's not thick crust pizza. It has some body to it, but not enough where you feel like you're eating a sandwich for a pizza. It's that's one great thing. I mean, that's what they've been doing for the last 22 years, 19 opened. So 22 years they've been doing it like that. And it's not like a lot of the stuff around here. There's only a few around here that do it that stuff. But it really does work great. It kind of is that perfect pizza for you hanging out at home watching the game, but it's also great for your parties. We do party pizzas, we do platters for it, and it works great for the parties too.
Yeah, so let's talk about the business then before we get into some of the sample dishes. So it is Tomaselli's catering as well. Talk about what you offer at the retail storefront and then what you can do for Rhode Islanders in terms of parties.
Our biggest thing is calzones. We've won multiple times the Rhode Island Magazine's best of with calzones. We have over a dozen selections, but we also have multiple selections just in pizza flavors. We have spinach pies, dozens of sandwiches. We have some appetizers. We have pastas. We have regular pastas, and we have grilled pastas, which is something different a lot of places don't do, which we have options that we actually cook the pasta on the grill. Gives a little crunch to it, but not a burnt type of flavor to it, too.
Excellent. And your hours. Well, first of all, how big and small a party can you cater?
I mean, we can cater. I mean, our smallest catering platters are fit for about 8 to 10 people. We can go as high as possible. Obviously, right now, I'm not going to say as high as possible, but but I mean, overall, we have options that can go. We have party options that can go up to hundreds. We have the capability to make food for that. We also will deliver food. We deliver our regular menu to the Cranston and part of West Warwick and Warwick, but we will deliver catering orders over $150 anywhere in the state of Rhode Island.
Excellent, excellent. And you observe all the what I call the COVID rules of engagement, don't you?
Yeah, currently we actually have kept our dining room closed because for the little bit that we would get out of it, it's really not worth it. We don't want to run the risk of people sitting around congregating and running the risk of infecting either themselves, others, or the staff. But we do daily COVID checks on our staff to make sure no symptoms. If there's ever an issue, those people will be sent home. If necessary, I will be sending them for testing. So, I mean, I'm taking this very seriously. Whether or not I agree with everything that's going on right now, you play by the rules, you do what you got to do, and you try to keep everybody safe. Because if you're not keeping people safe, you're just putting a nail in your own coffin.
Right. So we got the catering. How late are you open right now?
We're open till 8 for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and 9 o'clock Friday and Saturday. We deliver all day from 11 a.m. till either 8 or 9, depending on which day of the week it is.
All right. And you could do the touchless remote style delivery that so many companies. Yeah. So if you're in your office, or let's just say you're at home and you're slammed, and you're in your home office, you can have a restaurant quality meal delivered to you very, very affordably throughout a big part of West Warwick and Cranston. I mean, how good does that get? And if you're one of those folks that's still got a crew going on in the office, why not provide lunch for your coworkers and your employees in order to interject a little bit of fun, particularly at the holiday season. It's just been a tough year for everybody. Where I work, I'm during the day. I've got a day gig as well, and the boss bought sandwiches for all of us. Our choice today just says, because we put in some extra hours, we worked right up until the end on Thanksgiving evening, and it's sometimes in stressful times, it's just the simple gestures like that, taking care of your people. Here's a great fun way to do it. Great pizzas. We're going to put up on the website when we rebroadcast this. We'll make sure that we have a PDF with the menu up there. We're going to take in a minute or so. We're going to take a little opportunity here. We're going to play with some rather attract. I mean, it's whether you see this in the future on tape right now. It's a little later on Thanksgiving Eve night, 2020. I think are we going to be able to bring up the menu? So this is the beauty of it. You guys are making your own gravy. You guys are making your own pizza sauce. We are so blessed here in Rhode Island. Understand that in a great part of the country, as you travel from town to town to town, I've spent a lot of time in the Midwest. Wonderful people, great times, great cities. But you roll through city after city and exit after exit on the interstate, and you've got the Walmart on one corner, you've got the National Pizza Joint on the other corner, and you got the gas station / fast food joint on one corner, and you got Mickey D's on the other corner. And for a significant part of the country, that's how they live. They don't have this abundance of locally made, locally sourced great food. What we take for granted, and going to lunch at a great place like Tomaselli's would be a vacation stop for a significant part of the country. I mean, Mike, you're pretty well traveled. How many places have you seen, like Rhode Island, where you have this wealth of food from every imaginable culture at affordable prices, literally at a phone call?
I feel like if you get outside of the Northeast, the only other place I've been to that I spent time at where you have this much options is Las Vegas, but that's because it's Las Vegas. It is the culinary capital of the world. So, growing up here in Rhode Island and spending time all over New England, you kind of feel very you feel like you're spoiled to it, especially when you travel down south. I spent time down in Tennessee and Georgia, and they do not have anything like we have up here for options. The fact is, you can go down Main Street in East Greenwich, for God's sakes, and go to an Indian place across the street from a sushi place, next to a coffee shop, next to a breakfast spot, go to, a nice little Hawaiian-themed bar, to a vegan place, to a locally made ice cream shop. Like, you don't have any of those options in a lot of the country, sadly.
So we're going to try and bring up a couple of dishes here. Maybe you could describe what goes into them and talk about it a little more. We'll give our super producer a moment here. Let's see here. All right, this is our great experiment tonight, folks. We're kind of playing with the technology a little bit. Can you see that up there, Mike?
I can see it. That's our special sticky teriyaki wings. So they're kind of a play off of your Chinese restaurant chicken wings. They're, not only the teriyaki, but then we grill them on the grill after we fry them. So it gets that nice, thick, sticky caramelization. We use Mr. Yamamoto's teriyaki sauce, which is very rare out here. The fact is, I have to source that from all over the place. Nobody just regularly carries it. So I'm searching high and low for it constantly. But it's the perfect sauce. Everybody else is using, your Kikkomans or your Sweet Baby Ray's versions of the sauce, and it just doesn't have that true, authentic flavor.
Wow.
And that's actually the plate it was on was something I especially bought just because of the restaurant's colors.
Excellent. What do we got up next here?
We got a steak and cheese sandwich with onions and mushrooms. It's probably our top seller for steak and cheese. It's on one of our locally, made Calvito's soft rolls. We get not only soft rolls, we get the nice hard Italian rolls from them. So it's kind of in a different options we have. But this is a great, steak that's not your cheap Philly cheesesteak with the cheap, cheese sauce on it. It's got nice fresh American cheese on it, fresh cut veggies on it, and it's always cooked fresh to order for you.
Now, by the way, I'm gonna toss you a softball here. You don't freeze your breads too in order to keep them for a longer shelf life, do you?
Daily deliveries every day at about 8:50, and I get my bread and dough coming in. They don't last a day. What's great about Calvito's is there's not a single preservative in their bread. So if I try to keep it longer, it's not going to work for it.
Wow.
Now we got some fresh 4-cheese toasted raviolis on the screen. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a popular thing over the last 10 years, this dish. To me, what I like about this over some of the other ones is a lot of them either are just mozzarella sticks shaped like ravioli, or they're just cheap ricotta filled. Just as, ricotta, mozzarella, it has Asiago and Parmesan cheese. So you have a lot of bold cheese flavor coming out of it and a great texture.
That's outstanding. This is tough, man. Did I mention to you that I'm an expert at eating out? All right, what do we got next here?
So this is another one of our specialties. This is one of our grilled pastas. This one has spinach. It has roasted red peppers, sausage, chicken. And so what we do is we just toss everything on the grill, heat it up. This one is with the oil and garlic sauce. So it's very light, very festive. It's one of those things where you can have it any time of the year because with the sausage chicken, you get a little heartiness. The fact is you get the penne pasta. It'll fill you right up. And that bowl is a big bowl, and that's our normal portion, to be honest. It wasn't just for the pictures.
Now, we have entered that part of the year, where the beautiful autumn leaves have left us, the green verdant fields that populate our baseball diamonds and our parks are long since gone, and a gentle sea breeze has been replaced with wind gales off of Narragansett Bay. How cool is it, or how hot is it, if let's just say you spend part of your day outdoors, to grab a lunch, something hearty like that, that's just going to make you feel better, isn't it? I mean, talk about comfort food. Holy cow.
It's going to make you feel full. It's going to make you feel good, especially when you're looking at something like the dish with the sausage and chicken, so you're getting good protein, but you have a lot of veggies in there too. So you're kind of hitting all those parts of the food pyramid. I know we're not supposed to talk about food pyramid anymore, but to me, that's how I always base everything off of in developing food for people.
Excellent. Well, it's a hell of a
prior pic, and that other picture was actually our take on a chicken vodka sauce. No vodka in it. Obviously, we don't have a liquor license, so we don't have vodka in the sauce, but still that nice, rich, creamy taste with the tomatoes coming right through. And that, just like the prior one, was grilled up. We actually grill it and cook the sauce right on the grill with it. So that sauce is sticking right to the pasta. You don't have to worry about it all falling to the bottom, and you're stuck trying to toss it all together again 100 times. So the sauce is going to be on every piece for you.
It what's great is I could tell just by your expression, the tone of your voice, the love you have for making people happy with food.
It's one of those things I've done for so long. And at one point, I can't lie, I left the business for a little while because the love wasn't there. And I've come back for the last 6-7 years and really dedicated myself to it very, very big. And I found where my passion of it all is. And the fact is, just seeing people smile with the food is the biggest piece of my passion.
That's wonderful. Now, again, you mentioned you had delivery service. I'm going to ask folks, and this is on behalf of all local restaurants. It's tempting, particularly at times like this, and this is me speaking, not my guest. I want to make that very clear. My little editorial, my little rant. If, in fact, you're looking for delivery, call the restaurant first. Give them an opportunity to provide delivery services. If they don't, then go to one of the national delivery companies. But if they do, number one, you're probably helping a local young person working there part-time. And again, once again, these are all folks who are local, who part of the community, whose families live and work there. But help, and I'm not going to ask you to comment on this, Mike, but one of the biggest challenges right now with these delivery services is just the fees they exact from local merchants. Again, let's keep Rhode Island money, Rhode Island support local to other local businesses. Give them an opportunity to provide a delivery service if that's important to you. If not, if you can run down and pick it up. Mike, in the case of Mike's business, he delivers. Yep. It's these national delivery services are challenging on a number of levels. And I'll just leave it at that. But it's with limited seating capacities for many restaurants, with limited hours, with all the additional costs, as Mike cited, that he willingly participated in to ensure the safety of the food that he's delivering to his community. With all of that involved, we need to make sure that Rhode Islanders, businesses, are given the opportunity to profit fairly from what is obviously some pretty extensive efforts. A lot of hard work goes into this, a lot of love, a lot of money, a lot of soul. Let's keep all of that local. Imagine what, listen, we all suffer from going to the burger chains, and we all suffer as a result later on. But none of these joints are cheap anymore. You can easily drop $8 or $10 at a Mickey D's getting a meal. And I got to tell you, after eating at Mike's, myself personally, it's delicious. It's much, the preparation, the details, the quality of the ingredients, exponentially better. Sometimes for the same, maybe a tiny bit more, you can get a family Italian dinner at Mike's. And yeah, obviously, Mike's my friend. I'm something of a self-appointed evangelist for Rhode Island small businesses. But you know what? That's the truth in so many places around Island. Mike,
I view that everybody needs to go out and check out all their local restaurants. I mean, I would love everybody to come visit me, but I also want everybody to visit everyone else. It's a real community in Rhode Island. I mean, I was on the phone texting and talking today with 4 different restaurant owners about different things. Just we all throwing ideas off of each other. We're all trying to make everything better. We feel like we need to all work together to make it work because we're watching our fellow restaurants closing left and right. Mm-hmm. I mean, just yesterday, I believe it was, we lost Burritos, which is right near here. restaurant that I've been here just as long as Tomaselli's.
Wow.
The fact is that we all are working. We all need to work together, and that's what we're trying to do. I have been reaching out to local businesses to try to cross market. I've actually started the idea of creating a little coalition, no pun intended, with different local restaurants to work together to make our voices more than just one voice. Because I think what everybody needs to hear is one collective voice. You have too much of everybody in for themselves and not in for the future of everyone.
Right.
And no. I call on other restaurants to join on that in the sense of let's all work together on it.
Right.
There's enough of a pie here for everybody.
Literally. And by the way, the servings are immense. And should you have some leftovers, as I did, Mike's morning after solutions, if you will, are some of the finest breakfasts you can have. I had a couple of slices the next morning for breakfast, and that was damn good eating, let me tell you. So it's first of all, Mike, I got to say, it's congratulations on what is obviously a dream for you. Your attitude and your dedication to me spells success, even in difficult times like this. Folks like you, there's so many Rhode Islanders just like you who have that kind of commitment to their product and to their service and what they represent to the community. I believe will not only survive but ultimately thrive during these difficult times. And why don't you, before we sign off for the night, engage in some shameless self-promotion as to where people can find you on the web, where people can find your store and your hours again, and just kind of leave them with a snapshot of and let's put it this way: if you had an opportunity right now and you had the entire community of Cranston and West Warwick sitting in front of you, what would you say to them as a parting
I'd say
thought?
Come give us a try. I'd say come give us a try. I know a lot of people have. I mean, the fact is when I sat before the city council of Cranston, everybody was gung-ho about everything because they knew Tomaselli's. The fact is yes, I'm not part of the family, but nothing is changing. The pizza you had 5 years ago is the pizza you're going to have tomorrow. I'm keeping pretty much everything the same for everybody. My goal is to grow it and to keep everybody happy, and I want to expand the business in the way that best suits our community. Mm-hmm. Not going to try to overtake people. I want to work with people. I believe that the biggest thing is I want everybody to know about the freshness, the quality, the time and the effort we're putting in. The fact is how dedicated the staff here is. Everybody here has been here for a year, 2 years, up to 5 to 9 years we have staff. Everybody cares about what's going out the door. And that, to me, is a key to success. I've been in plenty of places where the staff just cared about the paycheck at the end of the week, and you could tell it. And those places struggled because of that. So you can find us here at 693 Oak Lawn Ave. We're right in the plaza with D. Luis. We're 2 doors down from it. I had people lined up out to our door this morning picking up their holiday pies. So we're there. We can be reached any day of the week via our phone number, 401-464-4666. We are online at tomasellis.net. We are on Facebook at Tomaselli's Restaurant. We're on Instagram at Tomaselli's. Our Instagram is something we're working very hard to try to build up. I'm not the best at it. I have a staff member who's taking care of that. So that's our goal. We're open 6 days a week. After this week, we will be closed, just for anybody to know, on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. We are going to be doing special catering orders for Christmas Eve. Check out our Facebook, our website, and our Instagram. On the 1st, I will be releasing the menu for it and the hours. And anybody who's listening tonight and you call in by the end of the year and mention you listen to Coalition Radio, you're going to get 15% off your order.
Excellent. Again, Mike, congratulations on everything. The culmination of a live stream, yet the opportunity to take on so many more challenges under this one umbrella. I know you've got big plans for the business, and I see nothing but success in your future. So thanks for joining us tonight. And by the way, Mike is also a member of the group, the Rhode Island Holiday Challenge. Mike, make sure you post some specials to that this week, folks. Rhode Island Holiday Challenge. It's on Facebook. It's a simple idea. There's 100 or so of us who've pledged to buy whatever we can locally from local restaurants. Like Mike. Mike is doing the same thing. He's passing it forward by buying his ingredients from local. Just think of that circle of life within the Rhode Island community, within all that money going from vendor to vendor to vendor, keeping families safe, keeping families employed, keeping families on a path to their future. And so just join the Rhode Island Holiday Challenge or set up one of your own. Again, there's no pride in ownership here. The entire point is to buy local and for us as a community to relearn. This is important, to relearn how to look to ourselves in our community for volunteer support, for business support, to make it again a community. And Mike, you're a big part of that. So congratulations and thanks again for coming tonight.
Anytime, Pat. Anytime you want me to bring me on, I'll be here for you, brother.
All right, man. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the worldwide Coalition Radio Network at coalitionradionetwork.com, facebook.com/the Coalition Radio, on the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and of course the original mothership, coalitionradio.us, where 8 years of accumulated broadcasting, interviews, discussions, arguments, and you name it, have taken place. Folks, you see this tonight live, or perhaps you see it in the future, let's remember the importance of this holiday season, regardless of the manner with which you celebrate it. The operative word for tonight has been, across all of our programming, community. Let's look to each other. Let's not wait for others. Let's not look to someone else. Let's not drop the ball and expect someone else to do what we can do as community. Have a great night and a wonderful Thanksgiving.